I'm so excited to bring you the Dewdrop Stitch on the Loom, both the traditional English knit stitch version and the variation by Charmaine Round. You've seen this pink one on our site for several years, and today we have a new chart for you on both of those, and I will demonstrate the traditional as well as the variation. This also can be found for knitting needles in Barbara Walker's First Treasury of Knitted Patterns, as well as a few other publications. All right, let's begin. Welcome to GoodKnit Kisses. We're all about helping you stitch your love and love your stitches. All right, for this pattern, you're just going to need a loom and some yarn that is the appropriate gauge. This is a small gauge loom with a medium weight yarn. I'm using the Knitting Board Premium Knitting Loom, which is small gauge 3/8, and the yarn is Red Heart Chic Sheep, or medium weight yarn in color green tea. You can use a large gauge, extra large gauge loom, and a bulky yarn if you want to. I'm using 43 pegs on this one. You could use 25. That's actually what I have for my my chart that I'll show you in a moment. But the main thing is you need to know is you need a 6 plus a 7 multiple. If it's easier for you to think of, you can just say as long as it's a multiple of 6 and then add one more stitch and you'll be good to go. I'm going to go over some of the basics so that when we begin, you'll kind of know where I am in this process. Okay, here's my chart. I have 25 stitches on here. You can see the blocks of 6 that I have in red, and that represents the main stitch pattern. And you can repeat these little blocks over and over if you're working in the round. So if you're making something on a circular loom and everything's connected, make sure it's a multiple of 6 and you're good to go. The green represents the 2 here in the front and the 5 in the back. That's that extra 7 needed to make this pattern really balanced and mirrored. Okay, you can see how it's just got this nice little mirrored look to it. So I'm working with 43 stitches. Again, this is 25 stitches here across. It is an 8-row repeat, or 8 rounds if you're working in a circle. And so every 8 rounds, it starts repeating itself. For beginning this stitch pattern, I recommend doing a chained cast on. You can do whatever cast on you like. Because I like working from right to left, these stitches that you'll see here in a moment, I'm actually, just for the beginning only, I'm eliminating this round 1. It works out okay because of my foundation chain. So I'm actually going to start this, and I'll show you working from right to left, and all of my even rows are going to work from right to left, and we'll come back, and then whenever we make our increases and decreases, they will be on the right-handed side. It doesn't matter if you're right or left-handed, you do it the same way. So if you want to cast on your chain cast on and cast on all of your stitches, you're going to work your slip knot here and go all the way down your loom, and then stop when you get to the number that you need, and then meet me back here in the video, and we will begin at this spot right here. Pause your video. I'll see you in a moment. I have a stitch marker or a little rubber band around 3 of these pegs that are 2 stitches in. So we skip the first 2 and then mark these 3. And I did the same thing on the other side right here. And what that shows me is I've actually got 2 pegs that get treated a little bit different, and over here the same way, so that they actually become mirrored later on. And this is only for when you're working in a flat panel. So to begin, we're just going to be working these first 2 stitches in purl stitch, and then the next 3 in knit, and then you just repeat. You're actually going to be working in 3s where you do purls and knits every 3 stitches. So it's only the first 2 and the last 2 that are different. So on my sample only, I happen to work where I'm slipping the very first stitch. Okay, so I liked what that looked like. You don't have to do that. This is what it looks like if you do. Okay, so if you like that look, then go ahead and just slip it. Later on, we're going to have to work a different type of stitch, and that particular row is row 8, and you'll see what that looks like. So I just did a purl stitch here, and then I'm going to knit these next 3, and then a purl stitch here, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to work all the way to the end, and then the last 2 stitches are going to be purl. So if you look at your chart, that's exactly what we're doing here. Okay, so 2 purls, and then knit 3, purl 3, repeat that, and then finish off with a knit 3, purl 2. All right, so you're going to work that until you have, until you've gotten up to this point. We're going to be back on our right to begin row 4. So just on this very beginning here, we are eliminating this first round, and we're actually beginning on 2, work all the way across, come back, and meet me at this point. Pause your video, and I'll see you there. So what we're doing right here is we're working these 2 stitches in knit, and then we're going to be combining 3 stitches into 1 and having a yarn over on either side. It's not a traditional knit 3 together. It's performed a little bit different, and let's do that now. Again, you can slip that first stitch on here like I'm doing it if you want. Okay, so I'm going to knit this stitch. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and yarn over on this first stitch. When I yarn over, I'm actually slipping the first stitch here, okay? And then I'm going to go behind the second stitch and then come in front of the third. These 3 that I've got this little band around, these are all going to get worked together. So I'm going to knit over this one on the bottom here. That makes this one, it's going to be the start of a left leaning decrease. So the left stitch is on the very bottom. I'm going to pick that left stitch up and put it in the middle. And then I'm going to knit this over. Okay, so now this is actually called an sssk. All right, but we've slipped one, and then we did a knit stitch. That's really what we did. And then we're passing these slip stitches over. Okay, so now I'm going to pick this up, and I need to put it on top of this first stitch because we need to pass this slip stitch over this final one so that we can get all 3 worked together. A cool trick, Charmaine Round actually came up with it, is you can go underneath your yarn over. Just put your needle underneath, or your hook underneath that, and lift up that bottom stitch. Okay, so go underneath and go up under the bottom stitch. Okay, and then we're going to lift it up and over the top like that. Look at that. We still have the yarn over on here, and it's unaffected. And then we're going to pick that stitch up. We're going to move it to the middle. Okay. And then now all we have to do is put a yarn over on this last stitch here, and we've done it. Now we want to knit the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do that again. We're going to work with these 3 stitches here. Okay, I'll go a little slower. We're going to yarn over and slip at the same time. We're going to go behind this peg. We're still slipping, and we're going to knit that 3rd stitch. Okay, so knit that 3rd stitch, pick up the 3rd stitch, put it on the 2nd, knit over, pick up the 2nd, put it on the 1st. And now we're going to go under the yarn over, pick up the slip stitch. So here we go, under the yarn over, pick up the slip stitch and lift it over that sssk. Okay, so we'll pick that up and move it to 2. And then we just yarn over on the last one. We're just holding it onto the front and then knitting the next 3 stitches. And that's it. And that's, whoops, and I just dropped it. And that's really all you need to know for that. You're just going to continue repeating it across. So we've got the yarn over, we've got knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'll show you me doing it one more time from the top. Yarn over, go into the back, yarn over the front. Okay, so we're knitting the 3rd, moving it to the 2, knitting it over, moving it to the 1st. Going to go underneath that yarn over, pick up the bottom loop and pass it over the top. Leave that yarn over there and pick up that top stitch, place it on number 2, yarn over and knit 3. 1, oops, 1, 2, 3, and you just continue throughout the row, and you're going to end with a knit 2 at the end. Okay, so this is where I'm going to show the variation. I've marked this with a stitch marker, these 3 pegs, so we really can see the difference in the variation. We're going to yarn over on this first peg. We're going to go behind the second peg and then just hold our yarn for a moment. We're going to take the third peg, which is on the left, and move it to the stitch on the right, which is that second peg in the set of 3. Okay, so it puts this, if we're just looking at these 2 stitches, it puts this bottom stitch on this is on the right, and that makes it a right leaning decrease. So now let's just put the yarn on top of there, and we're going to knit these 2 stitches together. So this is a right leaning decrease. Okay, and then now we're going to do what we did in the original. We're just going to take this stitch here and move it on top, and then we're going to pass this slip stitch over. So we're going to go underneath the yarn over, we're going to pull up the slip stitch, pass it over the knit 2 together, pick it up and move it on peg 2, and then we're going to yarn over and then continue in our pattern. And that's the only difference in the variation. All right, pause your video. I'll meet you back at the end of that row. All right, so your yarn is on the left and you just completed the knit 2 here. And now we're going to work our way back and forth doing what we did originally, except it's just alternated. So you've got knit 2 and then purl 3, knit 3, purl 3, repeating between these until you get to the end and end with a knit 2. And then you're just going to work your way back and forth until you end up back on the right for the variation when we just shift this over. So the first 2 pegs and the last 2 pegs are worked a little bit different. Otherwise, it's the same. So I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, pause your video and I will see you when you're back on the right side. See you in a moment. All right, row 8, we're going to start off by working, the first is going to be knit 2 together and then a yarn over on these first 2 stitches. So you're going to bring your second peg onto your first, and that will put the one on the right on the bottom, which makes that a knit 2 together. Go ahead and knit those together, 2 stitches over, and then put your yarn in front for a yarn over. And then you're just going to continue by knitting 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then you're going to go back into the increases and decreases as you did before. So all rows that are number 4 and 8 will get these alternated. They're just shifted over. So we're going to work all the way to the end and we'll make this last stitch together. Pause your video. I'll see you there. All right, so you're on the last 2 stitches. We're going to pick this next stitch up and put it on the last peg. And that makes that last peg on the left on the bottom. And we're going to put a yarn over first and then work these 2 stitches together to make it a slip knit. And you've completed your first 8 rounds or 8 rows. So you're just going to continue repeating every 8 rows. I hope you've enjoyed learning this new stitch pattern. If you'd like to see more stitch patterns, please let us know what they are down below. If you love seeing the charts, we'd love to know that as well. Stay tuned for the next video from GoodKnit Kisses. Happy looming! Thanks for joining us today, where we help you stitch your love and love your stitches. See you again soon.